Hey YouTube, I am here to review the last 6 months on February 18th, just after I think I posted some stuff and was in a real streak of posting. My wife fell ill and went in for gallbladder surgery, and then 2 surgeries later and 4 procedures, she's better now, but it's definitely slowed down my Axis and Allies game and my video production. In that time, like I said, she's better now. I did get to go up to visit with Young Grasshopper, and we play tested his his game Deluxe Axis and Allies, which was great. Boy, it really took you through an emotional roller coaster, and that was fun. Friday was just kind of depressing, and then Saturday, by the nightfall, it felt really hopeful. Couldn't sleep most of the night because I had a couple of moves in mind, and then Sunday morning I went to church and assigned my son to do the moves, and we made some good progress. So that was a great game. Liked it a lot. Lots of good. Really made the Atlantic come alive. The Atlantic, the battle for the Atlantic. That was really cool. Yeah, so great stuff. Also play tested Larry's new game twice. Once in February and once a couple weeks back. A lot of fun. Won the last game. Officiated the game before that when Larry was away. So that was fun. Tom was there, and everyone knows that War Room is about to come out, and so I wanted to do an update because I'm really about to switch pretty much a lot of my energies to War Room, because I want to sort of well, I want to get a portion of the pie from YouTube viewership as people get their game boxes and begin to try to figure out what to do. So this right here is something I've contributed on and off to. We need an Allied playbook, and so that's fun. And I have around page 6, I have an extensive US playbook. I have a very short Russian playbook, and I haven't yet got to the Great Britain playbook. However, I would want you to be aware that we did a Allied playbook game that is still going on. I'm a very slow player because I just have so much going on in my life, and we're in round 7, and very interesting stuff. And I'm at the point in the game where I really need to be careful. I've dodged, managed to save Moscow, and in 2 of the 3 of my games, the armor has the German armor has veered south, and they're trying to do a crunch, a little like Schroeder did on the Middle East, which has been robust all game. Just a real British control of that area. Now the Bombay in my game with Equitis et Veritas has fell 3rd turn, which was kind of by design, and did a little rope-a-dope and was able to hold Egypt and really reinforce Russia from the south. And then with Trolpin, he's got an infantry march toward Moscow, which is pretty effective, but it's faltered because I've been able to match him man for man, tank for tank, artillery for artillery, and then with the help of the Aussies, I slipped through 3 planes, plane for plane and bomber for bomber. So that's some good stuff. In the meantime, in those games, here's an example of one of my games. So there is the Equitis et Veritas game. The turn before, he veered south, took all those tanks and mechs and veered south into the Caucasus in order to destroy those 3 British tanks. Anyways, fun stuff. Believe it or not, if you battle board that Russian theater right there, that the attack on Russia, I win, and I don't just win a little or some, I win a lot. And if you see up here in the top left corner, this is a pretty typical ending point where I'm trying. It's like a whip. and that's the crack of the whip, is just camp out in that position right there with a lot of planes and a lot of boats, and then 91 comes over and resupplies. At this point in time, 2 transports loaded with men, and I end up with around 8 planes. That's what my goal is, attacking West Germany and just doing a bit of a meat grinder. This allows for the battle to recede from the west coast, and then of course you've got France as a playable power. Northern Italy was empty last turn because I did an air raid on it. I lost some planes, but I wiped out everything in Northern Italy, allowing France to activate as a playable power. So in my next move, I moved up into Norway, and I've garrisoned that, and that's where my U.S. factory is going in. So I'll have my 2 troops, as well as 4 troops, as well as all those airplanes, and now a factory producing Americans. On the other side of the board, it doesn't look as pretty. In fact, there's quite a bit of, the Pacific is dominated, but I've got a reactionary force in Australia, so that when he lands and takes Queensland or Sydney, I can then recapture it before the turn is out. And then Hawaii is garrisoned with a ton of fighters, 11 fighters I think, 8 men, 2 artillery, and 2 anti-aircraft, and just making it pretty impregnable. And even if he builds up, I'll see it and build up. I'm resupplying every turn, anticipating anticipating the moves, which he could do to overwhelm that force. So far, so good. So the latest I will say is I'm sending every available American plane at the very beginning of the game right toward Hawaii, and then I keep the shuck going as long as he'll allow me to, with men off the west coast. Everything else for the next 2 turns is going to go toward the east coast, and toward setting up a shuck, 2 transports, 3 aircraft carriers. It'll end up being 2 or 3 cruisers and a battleship, and that's just going to be wave after wave after wave of 4 guys apiece. And I usually buy 4 guys, 2 transports. I'm just now getting it, so I'm doing a round robin with the transports, and I've got to make that a little more efficient. That's one of my goals. My composition of my air units is going to be, for the future reference, because I don't in general use them to garrison, 4 attacks, 4 fighters, hopefully 2 or 3 bombers. I haven't succeeded at this game because he went on and tried to grab Hawaii early, threatened that hard, so I just had to resupply Hawaii with a ton of aircraft, eventually getting up to 11. So that then he veered off, thinking he was going to grab Sydney. So he slowed my progress in Europe down a little bit, I will say, and that's good. Yeah, and then the infantry march, which I thought might be a crack in my system, I've managed to discourage that. Now in that game, Trolpin, he's got a crunch going on. He's got a Moscow crunch. So his fighters are coming from China, and he's trying to bring those fighters in to do a blitz on Moscow to disintegrate my, dissolve my defenses. So we'll see how that goes. I think it's still going to go well, and I think I might get to Berlin before he gets to Moscow. In that game as well, I'm about to hit the beaches at Normandy and Holland, and I'll be keeping them because I have a huge force. He kept me out of the fight until end of turn 3, and so I'm about to go in with 10 guys and 6 planes and a bomber. So that's good stuff. Yeah, so I'm having fun playing the game. I have played a war room game, and I've played zombies once. I played a war room game with my son. It was the Russian front. That was a lot of fun, and pushed in with the British. I'm sorry, it was Germany that turn, and I pushed in and was gonna really make it tough on him in the south, because he did a nice tricky move up in the north, but it left his south exposed. So I grabbed some oil down there and was with tanks. I actually did a gamble, and that's that I thought I could build tanks, and I think it's Bryansk, and might be Western Ukraine, and I built the tanks there, and fortunately he didn't attack that, and so now those tanks are on the front line, and two moves away from Moscow. So great stuff, fun games. A couple of other places I'm at on the internet, or at right now on this site would be, I believe it's, this is my Equitas et Veritas game, no bid, out of box, and then another attempt at an Allied playbook, which is a fun one as well, and that's where I posted some of those pictures. Tam Vam's involved, Wedding Singer, Simon 33, Equitas et Veritas, and Aldo, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, Aldo Rain, I think it is, who started the second string. I forgot what it is. Jay Dow's gotten involved. That's been cool just now. So some good topics. Hope this helps you out. Try building turn 1 Aldo Rain, or Rain. Try building 3 aircraft carriers, or 2 aircraft carriers first turn, and 4 planes, and then put the pack fleet into the Atlantic, go to 91, go to West Germany. You could hit, make yourself strong and hit Normandy, Holland, and then West Germany, Norway, up and down, just raid that coast continually. Don't lose your planes, because they're the killers, and drop those 4 guys every turn somewhere. Let those 4 guys be your fodder, and let the planes chew the defenses up, and then you're back next turn with another wave of 4 guys, and eventually you'll make it. Now you always have to buy a few planes to replace the losses, because if he gets 5 hits, then you're going to lose a plane. So you can't let those planes whittle down, and of course you're going to send 2-3 planes per turn to Hawaii, just to garrison that. And yeah, I think that's where I am at on AxisAndAllies.org. Trollpin, there's my game versus Crockett 36. Check them out. I really think I'd love some feedback on what you think about these games, because I think they're pretty pivotal in the next sort of evolution of Allied strategy in Global 1940. All right, that's my update. And so cheers, as Grasshopper likes to say. Yeah, thanks guys.